I want to ask you something. If the person you trusted most in this world smiled at you every single morning, while building something that would end you, what would you do?
She said the trip was 7 days. Day 7 came and went. I stood at this door every night, counting, like a 63-year-old fool who trusted the wrong person for 32 years.
My name is Daniel Harper, 63 years old. 38 years building homes with my own hands. The day my wife left for Miami, I said, "Have a good time." Those 4 words cost me everything. And then gave me something better. My name is Daniel Harper, 63 years old. 38 years building homes with my own hands. The day my wife left for Miami, I said, "Have a good time." Those 4 words cost me everything. And then gave me something better. I married Michelle in 1992. She was 26. I was 31. For 28 of those 32 years, I thought we had something solid. I was wrong. And the way I found out is something I would not wish on my worst enemy. Almost.
I'm telling this story because there are men and women sitting exactly where I was sitting. Wondering if they're paranoid. Wondering if they're imagining things. You are not paranoid. Trust your gut. Mine was right. And I waited too long to listen. Michelle was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen in person. I met her at a church cookout in 1991. She wore a yellow dress. I walked over, and I did not leave her side for the rest of the afternoon. I fell in love completely, and I never looked back. That was my first mistake. The first 15 years were good. We had 2 kids, Brandon and Kayla. I built us a house on Miller Road, 4 bedrooms, every board cut by my own hands. We were not rich, but we had something solid. Something real. Something I built. Around year 15, Michelle went back to work, real estate, which brought her into contact with a very different world. Waterfront properties, country club memberships, women whose husbands wore suits that cost more than my truck. And Michelle discovered she wanted to live in that world. Her name was Diane Elliott, Michelle's top client, then her closest friend. Diane's husband, Marcus, was 52, investment banker, the kind of man whose handshake tells you he's the most important person in every room. They had a house on the lake, a condo in Miami, and a boat called Second Option. I thought Second Option was a strange name for a boat. I understand now why he chose it. He always had a second option ready, for everything. I was not a man like Marcus Elliott. I was a man who kept his word. I built things to last. 1 house, 1 marriage, 1 promise. That was my world. Around year 25, Michelle stopped asking about my work. I would come home, dust on my boots, honest sweat on my shirt, and she would look at me the way you look at something that used to be enough. She wanted vacations I couldn't afford, renovations that didn't make sense, and I kept working harder, thinking that would fix it. March 14th, a Tuesday. Michelle came to me with a plan. Diane's group was going to Miami. 7 days. Girls only. Spa, beach, restaurants. "We need this," she said. "All of us have been so stressed." I looked at that suitcase. New suitcase. One I had never seen before. I looked at that outfit. New, too. I looked at my 58-year-old wife buzzing with energy she hadn't had in our home in longer than I could remember. My gut spoke. Clearly. Loudly. And I, 63 years old, 32 years of marriage, smiled and said, "Have a good time." She left at 6 in the morning. I stood in the driveway and watched the taxi leave. Day 7 came. No Michelle.
We're extending a few days. It's so beautiful here.
Day 9.
Diane booked a boat tour. Just 2 more days.
Day 11. I stopped calling, because something in me already knew what was happening in Miami was not a boat tour. She came home on day 11, walked through the door smiling, tanned, lighter. The specific lightness of someone who has just had something very good happen to them. "I missed you," she said. She hugged me. I held my 58-year-old wife, and I breathed her in. And something was different.
A different soap, a different perfume, something underneath. I held her and I smiled, and I said, "Welcome home." And my gut, my 63-year-old gut, that had been right about foundations and load-bearing walls and every structure I had ever touched, screamed.
6 weeks after she came home, I found it in the bathroom trash. I was not looking for it. I was fixing a cabinet hinge, because that is what I do. I fix things. And underneath some tissues, there it was. A pregnancy test. I am 63 years old. Michelle is 58.
We had not been together in that way in over 8 months.
I stood in that bathroom for a very long time, holding a cabinet hinge in one hand and my entire 32-year marriage in the other. And I understood, finally, what second option meant. I did not yell. I placed it on the kitchen counter, between us. I looked at my 58-year-old wife and I said, "I need you to explain this, clearly, honestly, for the first time in however long it has been, honestly."
She told me it was a mistake, that it meant nothing, that Marcus Elliot, Diane's husband, had pursued her, that she was sorry, that she loved me, that we could get through this. Marcus Elliot, the man with the boat called Second Option. I listened to every word. I did not interrupt.
When she finished, I picked up my keys, my wallet, my phone. I walked into the garage, got in my truck, and I drove to Ray Coleman's house. Because Ray, 65 years old, my closest friend for 30 years, was the only person who would tell me the truth about what I needed to do next. Ray didn't say anything for a long time. He poured 2 glasses, sat down, pushed one toward me. Then he said, "What do you want to do?" Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "What happened?" What do you want to do? Because Ray has known me 30 years. He knows I don't need comfort. I need a plan, I said.
I want to do this right. I want to be fair. But I want to make sure that at the end of this, whatever I built in 32 years is still standing, even if she isn't in it. I know how to build from a foundation. I've done it my whole life. Ray picked up his glass. "Then let's make a plan," he said.
Linda Park had practiced family law for 24 years. 52 years old, sharp as a nail gun. I laid everything on her desk. 32 years of marriage, the house on Miller Road, my build, my business, our savings, and the pregnancy test. She looked at everything. Then she looked at me.
"Mr. Harper," she said, "Tennessee is an at-fault divorce state. What your wife did, documented correctly, significantly changes the settlement picture in your favor." For the first time since I found that test, I felt something shift. Not toward revenge, toward justice. There is a difference. I stayed on the right side of it.
The DNA test confirmed what I already knew. The child was Marcus Elliots, not mine. The same week Michelle got her papers, Diane Elliott filed for divorce from Marcus. The lake house went up for sale. The boat, called Second Option, repossessed. Choices always come with a bill. Mine did too. 32 years. That was my bill. And I paid it.
The settlement took 8 months. Michelle got her car, her retirement account, a fair portion of savings. I got the house on Miller Road, my contracting business. She wanted the house. Her attorney fought for it. But Linda Park put 32 years of financial records on that table. Every mortgage payment, every repair, every hour of labor. Documented. Because I am a contractor. I document everything.
The judge looked at those records and awarded me the house. My house. The one I built with my own hands in 1998. For a woman who looked at it like it was never enough. It was always enough. It was always exactly enough. She just forgot how to see it. And I forgot to remind her.
Michelle is raising Marcus Elliots' child in an apartment, alone. Marcus went back to Diane for the business assets. The lake house sold. The Miami condo sold. The women from the girls' trip scattered. That is not my revenge. That is her consequence. And there is a difference. A very important difference.
I do not hate Michelle. Hate takes energy. And I am a man who has things to build. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. I arrived at indifference slowly and completely, and it felt like the first solid foundation I had poured in a very long time.
Here is what I want you to hear. Not the betrayal, not the karma. This. I spent 32 years so focused on building things for other people that I stopped building the most important thing, a clear picture of my own worth. Michelle stopped seeing my value long before Miami, and I let her, because I was too busy and too silent. Loyalty is not weakness. Hard work is not weakness. But silence, when something is wrong, that is a choice. And I chose silence for too many years, because I was afraid of the answer. I'm telling you now, ask the question. Whatever it is, ask it today. Not tomorrow, today. If something in your gut has been speaking, and you have not been listening, this is your sign. Listen. Ask the question. Check the foundation. You're not done. Not at 63, not at 55, not at 70. You are not done. This has been Regret After 50. Life Lessons. Late Reflections. Share this story. Someone needs it today. And we will see you in the next reflection.